So, stages of meditation. There's a risk in talking about this, right? Because it lends itself to characterizing the practice as a series of achievements, right? And certifications and checks. And I'm going to start off by saying that isn't the intent. I'm going to talk about stages of meditation, starting with the basics of posture that I've been really focused on in my own practice now. And I think it's helpful to put these foundational elements in the context of sort of the full fruition of meditation. But I'm aware that as I talk, it's going to sound like I'm saying step 1, step 2, step 3, check, done. And that is not what I intend. So I will catch myself whenever I start to sound too much like I'm explaining a mechanical, preordained set of approved criteria for success. Not my intent. So at the beginning, we practice and focus on stabilizing the mind, stabilizing the body. I really like the practice of meditative absorption, concentration on the breath, and allowing that to settle the posture, the body, in an upright, alert, but fluid form that connects with and resonates with a mind that is free from distraction, because that's the key to the breath watching practice. Is not that there are no thoughts, but that the thoughts are not followed. The thoughts do not take my attention away from the object, which in this case is the breath, but it could be a mandala, it could be a sound, it could be a crystal on your altar. Anything that doesn't move, right? Don't use a candle or incense smoke or something that by its nature is moving, right? We want something that the mind, because in these early stages we're trying to cultivate an alert, focused, absorbed mind, not a rigid mind. There's a balance here, but a mind that is free from distraction. And with that comes a fluidity, a relaxation, some of the epiphenomenon of meditation we talk about in the broad rubric of mindfulness in our culture. Focus, alertness, relaxation, less anxiety. All of those things start to unfold, but not as the intent of the practice, as a beneficial side effect of focus. Stage 1. Right? And within that there are many different stages around the effort involved, the mind wandering and returning with effort, and then ultimately sort of a spontaneous focus. And with that, so let's call that calm abiding meditation. Sitting on a cushion, paying attention, absorbed in an object, and experiencing the mind free of distraction. Then that can evolve into the second stage of meditative practice, which is kind of insight meditation, right? It's removing the focus of the content of thoughts and really focusing on the nature of the mind, the attributes of the mind, the attributes of thought, the attribute of form, feeling, the aggregates, noting phenomena from this position of stability, not being distracted by it, not attaching to the phenomena, observing them including observing the observer and starting to understand the nature of self as part of this fluid unfolding of experience and phenomena. Are you still occasionally focused on bringing the mind back? Yes, of course. These aren't sequential over the course of 10 years. It's not like after 2 years you move to stage 2. They interpenetrate, even within the course of a sitting practice. After many years, there will be times when the mind is calm, noting, very rapidly noting, very experientially understanding the impermanence of phenomena, impermanence of the self. And then within that same session, requiring some effort to become alert, overcome drowsiness, for example. So the process continues to interpenetrate. And then the third stage is open mind, big sky meditation, leaving it, letting it as it is. Open, authentic presence. The fruition of a mind that understands itself, that understands the impermanence of all conditioned phenomena, the selflessness of the self. That experiential understanding comes from calm abiding and insight, and leads to open, authentic presence. And again, it's not 1, then 2, then 3. Intermingling of these as needed, as necessary. One of the beautiful things of practice is that we can create an environment that cultivates this awareness, this open-hearted awareness. We have practices that generate heart and mind of compassion, which is one of the authentic actions of the open mind. So we can come at it from a number of different ways, but it is most important that we arrive at this experientially through sitting practice. Meditation within the Eightfold Path is the arrival at the experience of the truth of the Four Noble Truths, right? The truth of the impermanence of all conditioned phenomena, the truth of suffering caused by ignorance of that fact. Well, we arrive at an understanding of impermanence through our meditation. So I think that makes sense. It's a totality of experience, and for practice, it is very necessary, very helpful and necessary to carve them out and say, now we are focusing on calm abiding. Now we are practicing noting. Now we are practicing big sky. We articulate domains of practice. The same way that in the gym, some days you're working on these muscles, other days you're working on other exercises. It doesn't mean that we are not a unified body. It just means that over the course of a lifetime of practice, there's time for focus, there's a time to settle, and there's times when certain types of practices are more important than others. I've said this a fair bit recently, but I am returning to what are really the fundamental beginning steps of meditation. In order to kind of return to a more nuanced or more rarefied experience that I had earlier in the year when I was off work for a couple of months for health reasons. I was recovering from some surgery. And really by the end of the 2 months, 10 weeks that I was off, all I was doing was meditating and just recovering. And it was wonderful. And I felt for sure that I could maintain this sort of openness as I returned to work, and the necessary stresses of that job. And I realized after a month or two that I had not maintained that. And not only had I not maintained it, but I'd forgotten. I'd become essentially distracted in my overall life. So I said, very, very well, I'm going to return to the practice of posture, kind of rebuild. And I think we're all like that over years and decades, groups of years. It's necessary to return to focus on certain aspects of practice without ever losing sight of the overall attainment, the overall aspiration. Right? Attainment, aspiration are different from goals and objectives. So language is important, I think. Anyway, I think that's good for today. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop me an email. Drop me a comment in the video, and I will talk to you soon. Please keep your wits about you.